Hi, I'm Lyndon Wood. I'm an investor, a business guy, and someone who's spent over 3 decades building and analyzing businesses, governments, and systems. I don't follow hype. I follow data, structure, and motive. And in this video, I'm looking beyond the headlines to ask a simple question. Is the digital ID agenda about efficiency or about control? Now, I make these videos to share what I've become to understand. I also do all the investigation and research because I invest and I need to know what's going on because it actually impacts how I invest, where I invest. Do I set up a business again or not? So I'm going to break it down. We'll break it down together. Facts only, no spin. Digital ID, progress or control. The truth behind Agenda 2030. And a lot of people, or a proportion of people, will say Agenda 2030 is a conspiracy theory, but it's not. It's live. It's out there. Governments talk about it. You can search it. You can find it out for yourself too. So we're hearing more and more about digital ID. It's a single app or system that verifies who you are for everything, from banking, healthcare, travel, all sorts of things, buying your food. Governments say it's about convenience and security, but of course, is it really? So today we're diving deep how digital ID links to Agenda 2030, what the pros and cons really are, and where this could all lead to by the end of the decade. So stay with me. By the end, you'll know exactly what's at stake. So what is digital ID? Well, digital ID is basically an electronic version of your identity, verified by government or a trusted body. Now, the difference between, some say, on my ex account, some say, yeah, but we have passports, we have driving licenses anyway, so what's the difference? Who cares? Well, you should care because it's all centralized and it's at a push of a button in the hands of government. And of course, whilst you might like Keir Starmer and his crowd, you don't know who's coming next, and you know who's coming after that and after that and after that. So do you want that kind of power in a centralized control system? So look, it can include your name, your photo, your biometrics like fingerprints, facial recognition. It can link to your banking, your tax, your medical records. Instead of carrying passport or driving license, you can scan your face or fingerprint to prove who you are. Again, keep in mind it's a single view of a person, so it's all your information, your data in a single spot. Even down to potentially what you buy, etc. The European Union is building a digital identity wallet for all citizens. India has Aadhaar, might have pronounced that wrong, probably did it some disservice, covering over 1.3 billion people. The UK is talking about expanding the NHS app or the gov.uk accounts into an ID system. Of course, the question is, will you need digital ID to access these services? But I might say NHS as well. And the UN's Agenda 2030 has a target, so SDG 16.9, that says by 2030, provide legal identity for all. Sounds harmless enough, right? Well, so why do governments and institutions want it? Well, let's go into that. Let's start with the official pros, because there are some real benefits. Might surprise you, but there are some real benefits. It could reduce fraud, fake IDs, benefit scams, illegal employment, and so on. It can simplify access to healthcare, so banking and education, one login for everything. Sounds simple. It supports financial inclusion, especially in developing countries where millions have no ID. And it might cut bureaucracy, so no forms, no lost documents, instant verification. Supporters say this is modern governance, efficient, secure and fair. The World Bank's ID4D initiative says identity is a human right. You can't access the modern economy without one. But here's where things get interesting, because the same technology can also be used for something very different. And as everything, what is built for good is quite often used for bad. Because it's yin-yang, there's good and bad in everything, there's good and bad actors, and this is what happens. So the concerns, privacy control and mandates. Critics argue that, and I'm a critic, critics will argue that once every part of your life, finance, travel, healthcare, is tied to one ID, you create a total surveillance infrastructure. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be followed everywhere. I don't want to know that somebody has all of my data in one place and at a push a button can block me out of my bank, stop me buying my groceries, stop me filling up with petrol. And this is no joke, because this is the kind of stuff that happens. And in fact, a lot of this is already in China's social credit system, which I believe is the template for the world. So imagine if that ID becomes mandatory to access your bank account, receive your wages or travel. Imagine. There's a reason why this talk of being forced to have it. You have to have it or else. You cannot work. That's been said by the Labour government already publicly. If you don't have digital ID, you cannot work. But of course, UK citizens, you don't have to show it. So if you don't have to show it to work, why the hell have you got to have it? Big question mark. So now let's combine with the central bank digital currency, or CBDCs. Digital money controlled by the state. Your ID is your wallet. Your wallet is programmable. And I think the WF have already said about programmable money. In other words, you have this digital money in your digital ID wallet that can be turned on and off. So your access can be agreed, not agreed, partially agreed, totally blocked, and so on. Your access can be limited or switched off centrally by government and maybe by their masters, who knows. If you miss a tax payment, they can reduce your score. They can take the money directly out of your bank without you knowing. You might not even owe the tax, but they might take it thinking they owed it, and leaves you in a financial conundrum. Overshoot your carbon allowance. Of course, we know about net zero, and I have my views on net scam zero, and the wasted billions we're sort of throwing into that. Post something harmful on social media. We're already seeing arrests. I think someone just got put in jail for 2 years for commenting on a post. And I think it was over 12,000 people in the UK over the last 12 months have been arrested for social media posts. Where's the freedom of speech? In a worst case future, that single ID could be used to restrict movement, purchases, or online access. It's no joke. And yes, that sounds dystopian, but the architecture is being built. A lot of it is already there. So under the human rights law, Article 8 of the ECHR, the human rights, everyone has a right to privacy. Now, is this why there's been a call to abolish ECHR? Because they know under Article 8 we have a right to privacy. So we actually have some rights to say no to digital ID. An interesting one. Forced digital ID with no opt-out could breach it, especially if refusal means losing essentials like healthcare or income. So again, how this will play out over the next few years will be really interesting. I think some advisor to the Labour government just today, might have been yesterday, said there's so much resistance against digital ID, it won't last 6 months. So again, another interesting comment. So the last time the UK tried a national ID was in 2006. I think it was 2002 to 2010. It was the Blair government. There was huge public backlash. And of course, it was scrapped in 2010. I think it cost something like £250 million of taxpayers' money. The intrusion, the fear of misuse killed it. So people, when they come together, have the power. They do have the power to change and to stop these dystopian things that government does. This time the rollout is a little bit quieter through existing apps under the banner of convenience. Of course, it's all convenience. The middle ground, could it work fairly? I mean, I don't know. Maybe digital ID can work fairly. So, especially if it's decentralized. So, is there a safe version of digital ID? Well, possibly. If it's voluntary with no loss of rights for opting out, I think some countries have digital ID and it's voluntary. I think it's Denmark has it as one example. If it's decentralized, meaning you control your data, not the government, so they're not going to sell your data to some other major corporation that makes billions from your information, and so on. If there's no central database, no single point of surveillance, so there's no real single view of you, if your name is not linked to it on some central database. But of course, if they said that's what will happen, how do we know? How do we believe them? It's another question mark. Lots of question marks still on all of this digital ID stuff. And if laws make sure it can't be linked to payments or political scoring. So if you score for the opposition, are you going to lose some points? Are you going to get restricted, maybe arrested? I don't know. So some blockchain-based ID projects are trying this. Your identity stays on your device. You share only what's needed, like proving your age without sharing your name. So maybe under certain circumstances it could work. It's called self-sovereign identity, or SSI, self-sovereign identity. It could be the privacy-friendly route. But will governments choose that path? That's the question, and I doubt it very much. So Agenda 2030, the bigger picture, sets out global goals, ending poverty, allegedly, improving health, fighting climate change. I don't believe in climate change. I'm sorry, I've done another video on that. I've done the numbers, and I can see the scam and the con. Digital ID is sold as a foundation for those goals, so everyone can access services. Again, as I've said earlier, they sell you the dream, but quite often used for bad as well. But critics warn that tie in SDGs, so digital currencies, digital identity, carbon tracking, CBDCs, together creates a global compliance grid where access to resources is conditional on approved behavior. So behave yourself or else. We're already seeing it in the UK and in some other countries, I guess. It's not a conspiracy. It's not about how these systems are governed. The real question is, will they empower individuals or centralize control? And right now, the answer is, of course, they will. So digital ID, progress or control? What do you think? Tool for inclusion or gateway for surveillance? Again, what do you think? Most technology is neither good nor evil. It depends on who controls it and what limits are built in. So what do you think? Let me know. Leave a comment. Subscribe if you want. I do this to share what I've become to understand. I'd love you to subscribe, but you haven't got to. Just enjoy the video, and I hope it's useful for you, because the more knowledge you have, then the more power you have, and the more you can navigate your own life and your children's life and their future. So leave a comment. I always answer comments. Thank you for watching.